Linux is one of the most popular and widely used operating system in enterprise servers and even cloud computing services. And as a DevOps engineer, you will be responsible for managing, implementing and deploying the complex system software. So I have designed this full course for DevOps engineer where I'm going to cover all the necessary commands that will help you in your DevOps career. And after watching this video, you will be comfortable with Linux servers and easily find out the various IT jobs. Now before starting this video, if you're new on this channel, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you will get a notification when I will upload a new video. So for installing Linux, I'm going to use AWS Cloud Services for free instance, and you can also use that services. It is free, but make sure you need to read the terms and conditions and always turn off your machine when you are done with your work. Otherwise, your free hours will be exceed and might have to pay huge bills. But don't worry, if you want to install Linux on your local machine, I have already created one video on my YouTube channel. You can go over there and set up your local machine. Alright, first of all you need to go on Google Chrome or whatever you are using a browser. Simply type AWS and click on the first link. And if you don't have an account, you need to create an account. In my case, I did this step already, so I'm gonna sign in this account. Here I need to put my email address, so just give me 1 second. Alright, once you are inside the machine, you can simply search here EC2, which is a services we are gonna install with the help of free services. Now I don't have any instances running right now. For running any free instances, you need to click on launch instance. You can give any name here. Suppose I want to give like YouTube. That is basically your machine name. And now I can search here Ubuntu. Make sure you're installing the free tiers eligibility only. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to launch 22.4 LTS, which is the latest version. I simply click on select. Now here I don't want to make any settings right now. I'm going to make a default setting and I'm fine with that. But I just need to create a key pair so that I can log in on this machine without any passwords. So I have to click on create new key pair. And I'm going to give the name like remote server. Make sure you need to select RSA, and here I'm going to use ppk file format because I'm going to use a putty. I have to generate a key. Now it's asking me to download. Alright, so my file is download. Now I don't want to change any firewall settings or any network setting. I make this thing as default because I will delete this instance after this video, so that's fine for me. For storage, I'm going to give 20 GB and additional settings, that's fine. So I just have to click on launch instance and now start creating my virtual machines. Now I have to wait for 2 or 3 minutes so that my machine properly installed and in running stage. And you can also simply go to the instance and you can check the status here. Now it's right now showing up in running stage, but you can see the status is initializing. So once it is completed, it takes around 2 to 3 minutes. You have to wait, and then you can connect this remote machine from with the help of public IP. Now if you don't have a putty, you can simply go to the browser and you can search putty.org. And this is the official website you can download. What is putty? Basically putty will help you to connect any remote server that you want to with the help of any protocol like SSH, telnet or any another protocol. So this is a tool I'm going to use to connect this remote server. So you can install this putty from this website. So I have already installed in my system, so I can simply check the status of this machine. Okay, so status is still checking, and also make sure you have to select the nearby region because it will help you to make a good connectivity and speed also. So let's see if my instance is ready now. I can simply refresh my page, and if it is running, now you can see the status is checked. So I can connect this machine now. Here I can simply use a public IP and I will launch my putty. Now I have to put here the IP address. The default SSH port is 22 for this machine. I didn't change any settings for the network, so the default port is same. Now before clicking on open, you have to add a key pair. Now you can see on the left side SSH, click over there, click on auth. Now click on credentials. Now you have to browse the files and you have to import the file. So I'm going to import from the desktop. This is my file, which is .ppk here, and I can simply, yep, so it is added. Now I can go back on my session and I will basically save the session so that I don't have to add a key pair again and again for logging into the system. So I will basically save this session. This is like a remote server. I will save this session. Now I can simply open it. Make sure you have to click on accept, and the default username is Ubuntu. Now let's see if it is able to connect. You can see here. So now we are inside the remote server. Now we are ready to run our first command. Alright, so before running any command, you need to understand about this syntax. So if you see the first Ubuntu is the username of this machine that we are currently logged in into this terminal, and then we have @ and the IP address. Now IP address, it might be a host name also somehow, and sometime it is IP address. If we have set up a host name, it will be showing up host name here. Alright, now first command I will say here will check who is currently logging into this system. So I can use a whoami command. It will bring up the name that currently username is Ubuntu, which is logged in here. Okay, now if you want to check the present working directory, I can use a pwd command, which is present working directory. If you see, okay, let's take example. Now we are going to start a new project. So whenever you want to create a new project, you basically start creating a directories. So in Linux we can use mkdir command, and we will put a name Linux as a project. Now if I type ls command for listing down the content, it will shows up here Linux. And if I want to redirect on this directory, I can use a cd command, which basically used for changing the directory, and I can give the path because I'm currently in the same directory. And if I hit enter, now you can see what is my present working directory. You can see here, and as this is an empty directory, if I type ls command, it will bring up there is nothing on this file. And if I want to go back one directory, I can use the same cd command for changing up the directory. I can use a dot. Now I can type pwd, you can see. Alright, now if you want to clear out this terminal, you can use a clear command. If I type ls again, this is my directory. Now let's go back again on the same directory and let's create a new file. So for creating a empty files, you can use a touch command that will basically help for creating a files. But this touch command will not able to edit the file. It will only create a empty files and timestamps. So if I type file number 1, if type ls, here is it. Alright, so we have a file number 1, and I'm going to delete this file again. Okay, now we don't have any file. I will create a new file with the help of cat command. So I can use cat, and simply I can use a greater than sign and file number 1. This will prompt you to add a content in this file. So if I type this is test file 1, and now I want to save this, I can simply go in the next line and I can use Ctrl+T. And if I say cat, here it is. So if I use a double greater than sign, this is what happened. So if I type this is second line, and if I save this file, and if I check, and if I use a cat command to read this content, you can see. So if you're using a single greater than sign, it will override the file, and if you're using a double greater than sign, it will add a new line. Alright, we have file number 1, and if I go back one directory, we have a directory also Linux. So I want to delete this directory, so I can use a rm command, right? Let's see what happens. So we are getting an error because this is a directory, right? So for deleting a directory, you have to use rm-r, then directory name. Now if I type ls, there is nothing here. So you understand about how to create a files, how to delete the files, but if you want to edit any file, you need to understand about the VI editor or any another editor like a nano editor. So for that, I can simply launch a VI editor. Let's see if we have anything. Let's create a new directory first. mkdir Linux project. If I type Linux project ls, okay, so we are inside the Linux project. Okay, Now I'm going to create a new file with the help of vi editor. So if you want to create a new file, you can use vi and make sure it should be installed. So before that, you can check if it is installed or not. So I can use sudo apt install vi. Okay, so it is not checking. I can use a vim editor. So if you see, vim is already installed. So vim and vi both are same. It just vim is just a latest version of vi editor. If I want to create a new file with the help of vi editor, I can simply type vi and the file name. Alright, so now you can see the editor is open and everything in the terminal. It will not basically give you any graphical user interface. Now whatever you want to edit or want to add the content, you can do with the help of commands. If you want to add a content, you can type I for insert mode. So you can see here, this is insert mode, and I can simply type this is vi editor and this is second line, just adding a random lines. Okay, now if you want to save this file, you should be in a command mode, and for that you need to type escape first. Now you can see, you can type colon W for write, Q for quit, and exclamation sign for forcefully exit. You can see if I type cat command, you can see we have a content in this file. So let me give you more commands for vi editor. If I go back again in the file, I can simply again type I for insert, and if I use my cursor, this is Linux tutorial for DevOps Engineer. Alright, suppose you want to delete this first line, you can simply use dd command. So for that you should be in a command mode again. So I can go in a command mode, I can simply type dd. Now you can see the second line is gone now, and I can simply save this file. And now I'm going to use different command for saving this file. Previously we used wq, and now I can use simply x. So both are same meaning. wq or x both are same meaning. So I can use a forcefully because we have changed some files, so I don't want any buffer errors, so I can use a forcefully. Now if I see the content, you can see we have two lines. Alright, so if you see here, right, we have editor. Whenever you are using vi, it basically open a terminal and then you have to exit from there. But in Linux we have another utility called sed, which is used for editing the file with the non-interactive editors. So it is very powerful command that you can use it for changing any content in the file. Like you can try to find the content, then you can change the file also with the help of sed. You don't have to open a terminal, and this is very powerful when you have a lot of content, you want to change some particular keyword with the help of sed. So suppose you want to change, let's see, we have a file first. We have content here. The second line you can see Linux spelling is wrong. So I want to change the spelling with the correct Linux spelling. So I'm going to use a sed command again. And here I have to give the syntax. First of all, we have to find out the keyword. For that, I need to use a S. Then I have to give the wrong keyword that I want to change with the correct one. So I can use Linux. Now I can give the file name. Now before giving the file name, I have to give -i also for modifying this file. If you are not going to give -i, it will basically shows up in your terminal. So if I hit enter and if I type config, you can see the Linux is modified with just one command. So I don't need to open a vi editor. If you just want to modify any particular keywords or more details, then you can use a sed command, and there are a lot of features with the sed. You can check on internet or you can check on my YouTube channel also. All right, now as we have a cat command, we can use it for checking out the content in the file, and that is cool. I mean, this is fine, but if we have a long files, it is not useful. Suppose you want to check the logs files, and if you're using a cat command, it is not efficient. Why? Because it will basically print everything in your terminal. Suppose, let me give you an example. I will go back in one directory, and if I use cat command and all the logs are stored in the var log folder, and if I see system logs, with the help of cat command, this is what happened. You can see. Are you able to understand about this? No, right? Because this is basically used for reading out the content if you have a lot less words in the file. But if you have a bunch of content in the file, then cat command is not useful. And instead of cat command, we have many more commands like more command. Exactly. So if I use more command, this will basically convert this content into the pages. So if I hit enter, you can see I just need to use my down arrow to go down little bit, and that will basically helpful when you want to check anything, and that's amazing. But there is a disadvantage, you cannot go up. I can go up, but you cannot find out the keywords in here. And instead of using more command, you can use a less command. So if I use the same system logs, I can use a less command. This is an advanced command of more command. So if I type less command, you can see it is the same like we have like a more command, right? You can see, but here you can give the commands also, like, so I can use a less command. So you can see if I go down, I can use errors. So yep. So this is, now we have two more commands, that is tail command and head command. Suppose you want to check the content from the top 10 lines only, then you can use a head command instead of using less or even more command. So I can use a head command that will shows up only the top 10 lines. You can see when the system is started. And normally when you want to check the logs, you probably require to check from the bottom and active logs. So for that you can use a tail command. Tail command is used for checking out the content from the bottom. So if I type tail, you can see these are the lines showing up from the bottom. And if you want to check the active logs, you can simply use a tail command same and -f. This will basically shows up the active logs of this machine. So whatever it is giving up the next error, it will be printed up here. Alright, so I'm going to go in this directory. Now here let's see what we have. So let's create one more file. I'm going to use a vi editor and sort data. Here I'm going to add some content. So suppose I want to cat, dog, eagle, and tiger. Okay, now I'm going to save this file. Alright, if I see the content is stored or not. Alright, now if I want to sort this data, I can use a sort command and give the file name. You can see this is currently already sorted out, so that is fine, but I can show you another example. So if I just want to reverse sorting, I can use -r reverse sorting. You can see. And similar way, if you want to sort out any numerical words, so you can use a sort command with the help of -n. These are the parameters that you can check with the help command. So I didn't tell you. So whatever the command you are checking, you can use a help command for that. That will basically brings up all the details, which we have the parameters and other information also like a man command, basically used for checking up the manual. So you can see these all are the parameters that you can use it in your practice. Okay, now another command is if you want to basically check all the commands that you have just run in the past, so you can use a history command. These all commands we just run right now. So if you see, we have bunch of commands available in the history, and if you want to run any commands from this history, you can simply use exclamation and you can give this. Suppose I want to run this command, I can use exclamation 130. You can see this command is executed. This is useful, but there is another way you can search the commands from the history and you can execute that also. That is reverse isearch. So for finding up the commands from the history that you have run in the past, you can use a reverse isearch instead of using history and running up kind of things. So I'm going to use Ctrl+R for opening up the reverse isearch, and whatever you're going to type here, this will basically brings up the data from the history. So if I type ifconfig, suppose I type I only, so it is telling that it is git version. I run this command before, so this is showing up. If I type if, so you can see if I want to run this command, I can simply hit enter. Now you can see this is useful when you have a bunch of commands in the past and you want to find out the commands. Now in DevOps, mostly you will get a packages that you have to build the applications, right? So mostly you will get a compressed files that you need to be basically uncompressed in your system, then you can build the application. And in Linux you can do that also with the help of commands. So I'm going to use ls command first to checking up how many files we have. So we have 2 files here. I'm going to compress this file, so I'm going to use tar-c zvf and the file name. Here I need to mention it is tar dot zip. Now I can mention the file name. When I hit enter, you can see. So if I type ls, you can see my config.yml file is now compressed into the .zip folder. Next command is grep command. So grep command is used for filter out the content. If you have a bunch of folders and you want just a particular word or keywords from the file, you can use a grep command. Here we have ls. I can check what we have inside this file. So we have these 2 lines here, right? And I just want to read the content where we have just Linux keyword. Okay, so I can use a grep command and I can type Linux and the file name. You can see simple grep and I can use it. Now Linux is case sensitive. Suppose if I use capital L, it won't be give you any result because we don't have any character keywords which is started with capital L. So you can use a grep command again, because sometimes we don't know whether it is a capital or lowercase, so you can ignore the uppercase or lowercase with the help of -i, and then I can use Linux and the file name. Now you can see whatever we have with the name of Linux, it will print out in the terminal. Let me give you another example with the grep command that will help you. So if I use the same var log syslog here, right, I can use a grep command and I can mention the keywords called errors. So now everything related to the error, it will print out in this terminal. You can see, and it is active log, so whatever it is showing up, it will print out here. We can easily filter out the content from the files. So the next command is mount command. If you want to attach any peripherals, devices or additional volume storage, you can use a mount command to attach inside the Linux, because in Windows normally we can simply insert the USB and we have the files access, right? But Linux is much more secure. You have to first mount the directory, then you can able to access that files. So if you want to check how many directories are currently mounted, so you can use a mount command. You can see there are some folders are mounted here. These are the virtual also. These might be a virtual or physical drives also. This server is remotely connected. I cannot show you how to mount the directory, but I can give you the syntax. Suppose you have inserted any USB in your computer and you want to mount the content, everything in the Linux, right? So what you have to do that first, you have to create a directory inside the mnt folder, and suppose test, you can use a sudo command. So sudo is basically used when you don't have any root access, and you can basically use a sudo to make a super user do access. Okay, so I can use a sudo. You can see if we have a directory. Okay, currently it is empty. Suppose I inserted any USB in my computer, and if I want to mount all the files in the mnt test folder, then I have to first check what is the path of my USB, and for that I can use fdisk command for checking fdisk and -l. So currently again showing a permission denied because I'm not sure what is the permission assigned for this user. So I can use a sudo command. Now you can see. So when you use fdisk -l command, this will basically brings up all the connected peripherals devices with this. The last disk showing up like this one is the last one currently. So this one is your USB path. So what I need to do that, I just have to mount this directory into my test folders. So I can use a mount command, and I have to mention what I need to mount. So I can use dev x vda, then I have to mention where I need to mount. So I can use mnt and test. So when I hit enter, all the files content where we have here, it will be mounted on this directory and I can easily access. So currently I'm not hitting enter because this is not a correct directory, so I'm just removing from here. And make sure whenever you are done with your work, you have to unmount the directories also. So for that you need to use umount command and you need to mention the directory. In my case it is mnt and this test. So it is telling me that it is not mounted, of course, because we haven't run any commands. Alright, so this is the command for mounting and unmounting it. Now I'm going to discuss about sysadmin commands. So let's discuss about Linux packages management. So for easiest understanding, packages are nothing, it's just a software. Some of them are system software and rest are the application or the utilities or tools. Suppose if I want to install any application or tools, then I can easily install with the help of command line interface. Now what kind of command I have to use it, that depends on which distribution you are using it. In my case, I'm using Debian based Linux, so I can use apt command to manage my packages. But if you're using any another distribution like Red Hat or CentOS, then instead of using apt, you need to use yum command. And you can search on internet about your own distribution. Okay, now let's see how to use apt command. If you want to list down all the packages which is available in your local machine, then you can use sudo apt list command. And if I type this command, this will shows me everything which is right now inside my local machine. Usually I don't use this command, and if I want to search any packages, I can use a search command with the apt command. Now sometimes you're trying to install the packages with apt install command and you're getting not found message, which means the packages are not available locally, and that is really happen if your Linux is not up to date. So make sure you need to up to date your Linux machine, and you can use sudo apt update command. And also if you want to upgrade the system softwares and also like a firmware software, then you can use upgrade command. So I can use double end. Double end means you can run two commands together. Once it is done, this one, that will automatically execute the next one. So I can use apt. First I can use sudo apt upgrade, and if I hit enter, you can see all the packages which is not available. It now start downloading from the internet. I will basically, here it is telling me that you have options to install it, but I don't want to upgrade these packages, but you should have to do that in your local machine. So I can simply type n and I can simply clear the browser. Okay, if I want to install any packages, what I can use install command. So sudo apt install. So suppose I want to install nmap. Nmap is a tool, so let me see if it is installed or not. So if I type nmap, it is not able to execute because it is not installed. But if I type apt install nmap and hit enter, now it is telling that if you want to install, you can type yes. Now it is start downloading. Now this is how easy it is in Linux that you can install any packages. Okay, so let's wait for some time, and if I clear this browser and let's see if it is working or not. Yes, so now nmap is installed. Now if you want to uninstall any packages, you can use apt remove and the package name. Now it is now removing the packages. Alright, if I type nmap, you can see there is nothing available. This is how you can manage the packages with the help of utilities. Depends on your own distribution. So in my case it is apt. Alright, now I want to discuss about users and file permission, and every user has their own unique ID, which is also known as UID. Suppose if I want to check what is my UID, I can simply type ID, and this brings me that Ubuntu UID is 1000, right? And group ID is 1000. And if I want to check for any another user UID, I can declare the username. Suppose ID for root. Now you can see here. So technically, if I'm speaking, Linux is a file system architecture. Everything is created with the help of files. Like if I want to check how many users we have in this machine, I can read the file which is stored in etc password. If I want to check how many users we have, so I can simply use a sudo cat and etc and password. So this is a file which contains all the usernames, and you can see here. If you remember that we just had a one username which is Ubuntu when we created the Linux, right? But now you're probably confused with this, right? So Linux has two types of username. One is system user and one is normal user. The system user used for automation work and for background activity task, but it is not used for login purpose. And the other user, which is normal user, this is for used for login purpose and doing some task in a foreground purpose. So how you can identify that? There is a simple thing. Every user has unique ID, and for the system user, if it is a less than 1000 UID, it is a system user. If it is greater than 1000, it is a normal user. So if I can say Ubuntu is a normal user and UID is 1000, right? And if you see this one, this is a crony, it is a less than 1000, that's why it's a system user. Also you can see the bin bash showing up no login, means it is not for login purpose, this is for the background activities. Also there are groups for each user that helps you to manage the permission, and that is under the etc groups folder. If I see sudo cat etc group, you can see all the users has their own groups. And if you want to check the password, there is one more file which is very interesting file for hackers, which is shadow file. Now this file contains all the passwords in an encrypted way. So if you see, these are the passwords. Now probably it is not set up, that's why it is nothing showing up. But if I set up any password, this will store in an encrypted way. I hope you understand about some basic things. Now let's create a new user with the help of adduser. And before running this command, you should have to run this command as a sudo, and I will create a new user called test. So if I hit enter, it is asking for setting up a password, so I can quickly set up a password. Now all the other information I will leave this thing as blank. Now let's see if the user is created. So it should be in the etc password file. Now you can see here, and again UID is greater than 1000. Now if I want to log in this user, I can switch this user with the help of su command. I can use su then username. Now it is asking for the password. Let me set up. Now you can see previously it was showing up Ubuntu, now it is test. But I can also type whoami. Now you can see test. If I want to change the password, I can use a password command. So first I will exit from here. I will show you how to change from Ubuntu. So I can use sudo password and the username. It is asking for set up the password. Password is successfully changed. Okay, if I want to try to log in again, I can able to log in with the new password. Here we go. This is happened sometimes, people forget their password and they will basically ask for changing up the password, resetting the password, and you have to do that as a system administrator. So if you have a root level access, you can do that with the help of password command. It won't be asked for the existing old password, so you can create a new password for that. Okay, let me create more user. So I can quickly create one more user. Add user in there. Okay, all right, so we have one more user called in there. If I see what is a UID, it is a new UID. Okay, unique ID. Suppose I want to change the username, so what I can do here right now, I can use a usermod command. I can type L for basically changing. Now if you want to see what is the meaning of L, you can use a help command that will bring everything here. So L for new login purpose. So basically if you want to change the username, I want to change from Inder to Inderjeet. So what I can do is, I don't want to delete the username, I can simply modify it. So first of all, I have to type sudo usermod -L. I have to type the new user Inderjeet, and then I have to type the old one. Now if I see if the old user, does it exist? No, there is no such as user because we modified with the inderjeet. And if I type inderjeet, you can see here also it should be available in the etc password, you can see here. So this is very useful. Even if you want to lock any account, suppose if any employees leave the company, you want to lock any account, you can do with the usermod command. So you can check on my YouTube channel, I have already created many videos on these things, so you can do that. The last command, how to delete the user. So same thing, instead of using adduser, I can use deluser, which is deleting the user. I will delete the test user, which is test. Now you can see it is removed. So let's see if it is available in etc password. You can see the test user is gone from here also. So it is very useful when you want to remove any user, you can use a delete user command. So the next thing, you need to learn how to manage files and directory permissions. So let me create a one file and directory. So I can use a touch command to create a normal file. Also I will create a directory which is d1. If I type ls, you can see we have file number 1 and dir means I just created one directory. Okay, all right, now you can see when I type ls command, it just show me the files here, right? But I want to know about what is the permissions and who is the owner of these files, right? So I can use ls command same, and I can type -l. Now you can see, now you just have to see the first two files that we have created. Okay, now here you can see if it is d in the beginning, it is a directory which is a dir1, and if it is showing up dash, it is the files. So this is representing whether it is a files or directory. Then the permission started from here, and these are the 9 character 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. I will explain later, just wait for a second. Now the owner of this file, who created this file, and then the owners group and the size of this file, and here is just like when it is created. Okay, so for understanding about these 9 characters, you need to understand about the permissions. So you can assign 3 types of permission to any users. One is read, write and execute. So read means user can read the file, write means user can edit the file, and execute means if the file is executable, user can execute the file, like bash scripting or any python file or any kind of executable file. So if you see these characters, right, starting with these 3 characters, these 3 characters is assigned to the owners of this file, right, who created the file. If you see rwx means owner of this file, which is Ubuntu, has read, write, execute permission, and then the group's permission started, which is this one. Ubuntu is a group, and read, write, execute permission is assigned to the Ubuntu. And then the others means who is not belongs to the owners group, which has read and execute permission only. So means who is not belongs with the Ubuntu group will not able to edit the file, right? So this is the thing. Okay, here we have 2 types of options that you can change the permission of the file, whether you can change the ownership or whether you can give the permission. Now what is right now showing up, the current user is Ubuntu. I want Indrajit user can also able to edit the file. So the first thing, I will change the ownership. So I can type again, this is a file 1, which right now Ubuntu is the owner, has read write permission. You can see only read write permission, right? And also owners group has read write permission. So what I can do, I can change the owner. I can use sudo, I can use chown command, chown for changing the ownership. Now this is a syntax. If you want to change the owner, I can type in the cheat, and I don't want to change the group, so I can use Ubuntu, the same which is previously showing up, and then the file name. Now you can see here, if I type this, now you can see file 1 ownership has been changed, means Indrajit is the owner of this file. And let me do one thing, I will change the group ID also, I will change the owners group also. So I can type same command and now here I can use in the cheat, and I will use in the file number 1. Okay, if I type ls, now you can see here right now what is happening here. The Ubuntu will not able to edit any file. Why? Because if you see, Ubuntu is the other in the other user here, right? So means Indrajit and belongs to any Inders group will able to read and write the file, but others which is not belongs to the Inder, they will not able to edit the file. They will only read the file. So if I try to edit this file, see what happened. If I use vi editor, you can see I open this file, but I cannot able to edit. You can see read only message. If I type I, there is a warning message that you cannot change this read only file. I hope you understand how to change ownership of the file, right? But let's see how to change the permissions here. So for permission, there are reversed number assigned for each and every permission. Like if you want to assign a read permission, then you can give 4 permission. Read for 4, write for 2, and executable for 1. And if you just add these number, if you want to give read, write, execute, means you need to give 7 permission, 4, 2 and 1. Okay, so if you see file number 1, this is currently has read write means 664, means currently it is a 664 permission. Okay, so what I want right now, anyone on this Linux user, right, they can easily edit this file. So what I need to do, that I need to give the permission to others. So I will use sudo chmod, and then I have to give the numbers. So suppose I want to give read permission, read write permission to everyone. So here I will use file number 1. If I type same command, now you can see. Now if this Ubuntu try to edit this file, he will able to edit. So let me try vi file number 1, and you can see I can easily edit the file, right? I can simply type this is file 1 and I can save this file. So this is how you can give the permission. This might be a confusion with the numbering system because you need to learn these numbers, but if you have any doubts, you can put the comments below. Also, I have already created one video on YouTube channel. If you want to know more about this, you can go over there and watch this video. Also, if you have any doubts, you can comment below. Alright, now let's discuss about process management. So if you want to know about what is active processes running in your Linux, so you can use ps-aux command. That will show everything which is active processes running right now. You see here everything which is currently active right now. So what I can do, if you want to kill any process, this is same like the task manager, and this you should have to learn because you will be responsible for managing your systems. Okay, if you want to kill any processes, right, like we can do that in the task manager in the Windows, right? You need to grab the process ID, and every processor has their own unique process ID. So if you see, this is the last one which we run the command, and this is a process ID here. Okay, so what you can do, that let me give you one example. I can use a sleep command in 10 seconds, and I will basically run this command in the background. So it is start running it. It is giving me the process ID right now, but I can check with the ps command also, and I can grab simply sleep. Okay, so if I type aux, it is still running in the background, right? I want to kill this process. So what I can do, that I can simply use a kill command, and I can mention the process ID here. If I hit enter, this is telling me there is no such processes because it is end, because this command will basically end after 10 seconds. Okay, so this is, I can simply run this command again. Now you can see, if I can find out, now you can see currently it is running. So I can grab, now you can see I kill this process. So you can do that. If you want to kill forcefully, you can kill the process with the help of process ID. And here is another utilities in Linux that I like a lot of time, which is top command. This is similar like a task manager, which basically give you all the information like how many total memories total memory and how many free memories right now. And this is like very important, very useful command. And another one more command that I usually like, instead of top I can use htop command also. That is amazing. You can, why it is amazing, because you can search the keywords also. So if you see from the top, this is CPU information, this is memory, which is a RAM memory, and this is swap memory. Okay, so if I want to search if anything is sleep, that basically help. If I want to know if any SSH is running, you can see here. So this is amazing, you can do that with this command. Alright, let's discuss about how to manage the services in Linux. So this is a command called systemctl, and I'm gonna take example like if I want to check what is the status of HA proxy, I can use status command and HA proxy. Now you can see there is no services are running right now. So instead of that, I can use sshd. Now you can see the SSH services are running currently, it is active. Now if I want to basically write, if I want to turn off this service, or if I want to restart the service, I can use that. I can simply restart services. I'm not going to do that right now because right now I'm connected with the SSH. So if I just type this command, it will break my connection. So but you can check that in your local machine. You can use a help command also, that will brings up all the status. If you want to start the services, you can do that start command. For stop, if you just simply type stop. If you want to reload the activity, you can do that. Also there is one more command which is enable and disable. Now if you want to run any application in a background whenever you are just booting up your computer, then you can enable it like systemctl enable then service name. And if you want to disable it, you can do simply, you can do that with systemctl disable then service name. Another very useful command which is df -h. This will display information about total space and available space on your file system. So if you see here, currently we have 20 GB that we have signed and 13% only used. And one more command that you can use for checking your RAM, I can use free command -h. This can display a total amount of free and used physical memories and also swapped memories in your system, and as well as the buffer memory also. These command is very important when you're basically checking how much your system is utilizing the resources. Also one more command that I want to share it, which is uname, that will bring up all the information related to the system. It is displaying here that Linux IP, Linux machine name, and it is Ubuntu. And also when this server was basically rebooted, I mean when this server was created. And this is very important command when you want to check which version you are running. Okay, perfect. Now let's discuss about some networking command that is very important when you want to become a DevOps engineer and even cloud computing engineer. So if I want to know what is my IP address, I can use ifconfig command, which is very basic command. I want to share this thing, and if you see eth0 currently it is connected, and this is my private IP. And one more command I want to share, which is IPA, that is display more details related to that. If you see here eth2, previously we have eth2, right? So you can see here we have link ether, which is a MAC address of this machine, and we have IP address with even the subnet. Okay, 20 is a subnet, and other information like IP6 IPs also. If you want to check the connectivity between two servers, right, you can check that whether it is connected or not, whether you are able to ping it or not. So if I want to check if this server is able to connect on Google DNS, I can simply use that ping command. So now you can see I'm getting a ICMP packets. Okay, so it means I'm able to connect on internet. And if you want to troubleshoot the connectivity, there is command called traceroute, which I usually like if I want to check where the packets dropped. So if I use traceroute, I can use 8.8, same thing. This will basically tell me. So currently it is not installed, so I can simply use this command. Here I need to use sudo. Okay, Let's install this thing. Maybe it is also not installed in your Linux, so you can do that first. And now if I type this, now you can see here it will tell me that everything, which is every single router, that first of all it is going from here to this one, okay, and then it is going to this IP, and after that at the end hops, which is this one, and if something is dropped in these packets, right, this will display here. And the similar command I can use a tracepath. I'm not sure if it is installed. Let's see. Yes, it is installed. So you can see tracepath is also useful. You can see it is trying to connect on this thing. Now it is not able to get. What is traceroute? It is basically trying to ping from the local host and will give you all the results. So you see here it is trying to ping it and you will get the packets, right? So you can troubleshoot with this command traceroute and tracepath. These two commands are very important when you want to troubleshoot it. Now another command is very important. If you want to check what is your gateway address, you can use netstat and type rn and hit enter. Now you can see my eth0, which is currently connected, right? It is using this gateway. All right, perfect. Now another command is for firewall. So in Linux there are firewall services that are running in a background. So I can simply type sudo systemctl status. Let's see if it is installed. So iptable is for the firewall settings. So sorry, iptables. So it is not set up. So maybe we have firewalld services. Yeah, it is also not showing up here. So if you remember, I did not set up any firewall rules while setting up this machine, but you can use iptables or firewalld services in your Linux. Another useful command, if you remember from the beginning, we connected this remote server from AWS, right? So if you want to connect any server which is remotely available somewhere, you can do that with the help of SSH, which is secure shell. But make sure the SSH should be enabled. I mean the SSH port should be enabled in the server side, and then you can easily connect on that point. So the syntax is simple. If you want to connect any server, you need the username of that server, and this is an example. Do not type username, type the username, then then IP address, or you can type the host name if you have it. So like similar, like we connected this server with the help of SSH. If you remember that we use a putty, we connected this server through the SSH, and now we are connected, right? So that's why we are able to connect through the remote session. And similar command, there is another command called telnet, but telnet will able to connect other ports also. Like if you want to connect FTP, you can do that with the telnet. So I can tell you the syntax. You can simply type telnet, and then you need to type the IP address and the port number. So suppose if you want to connect any FTP, you can use 25 port number, which is a default one, but it should be enabled in the server side. The another amazing command I want to share it, which is curl command. Imagine you're trying to access any website and you're getting an error, right, in the browser, and you probably don't know what exactly the error meaning, right? So you can use a curl command to troubleshoot, and you can use the curl command to check exactly whether it is a browser issue or the server issues. So in my case, I can use a curl https, and I can type example.com. Let's see. Now you can see entire code of this website, right? It is displayed here, right? I can simply use that code also for doing some creating a fake pages, but that's not my idea. Just telling you that you can use a curl command a lot of things. But if you want to know that what exactly curl command use, so in my case, what I'm doing that in my daily work life is checking the web browser code. So if I want to know that, I can use a v for verb host, and I can also use k, and then I can mention that. Now you can see on the top, if you see that previously we don't have a lot of information, right? but I used curl command. You can see here I used verb -v and -k, that basically giving me a lot of information, like this is trying to connect this server, then it is handshake, this is a networking handshake, all the handshake, whether it is connected or not, then it is telling me whether it is having a SSL certificates or not, and then it is telling me this server is properly connected. I'm getting a 200 message, which is a get message, which is a web browser message, and it is connected. Okay, so this is very important when you are basically want to know about that. Now another useful command when you want to use a curl, suppose you have a proxy for access, some websites are not able to access, right? So you want to use a proxy, then you can use x command -x and then proxy IP and proxy port. This is a syntax I'm giving you, but if you have proxy IP and proxy port for any particular website, you can use in this syntax. The last command in the networking is wget. So wget is used to grab anything from the internet in non-interactive way. So suppose if you want to download any PDF from the internet, you're going to browser, then searching PDF, then you are doing that, right? But wget will able to download anything from the internet. Now another command for if you want to troubleshoot any services, anything on Linux, right? There are very useful commands. There are many ways to do that. Well, I'm giving you basic things. If you want to troubleshoot any services, suppose I want to check what is the logs of these SSH services running in the background, right? So I can use a journal command. So first I will use sudo and I will type journal, and then I will use a -u and the service name. So there is no entry, but if I see any another services like httpd or maybe like anything else, like if I want, I have many services running here. So if I want to know about these services, you can see here. So these are the logs currently, which is active logs. So if you see here, this is useful when you want to troubleshoot anything. journalctl -u and the service name, that will basically tell you about that. Suppose if your HA proxy is down, then you need to know about why it is down, right? So you will check with the help of journalctl command. The next utilities or commands, it's very useful when you want to check any logs or anything in the Linux in the hardware level, also even the networking or even the software level. So you can use dmesg command, and if you hit enter, you are not permitted. So what you need to do, you simply type sudo. Now you can see here I can use this command, I can use grep command, and if I want to know about anything related to the networking, so I can use network. Now you can see here I'm only getting the networking messages, which is maybe it is useful if you want to troubleshoot it. So these are the commands that you can use to troubleshoot anything in your Linux, and there are multiple ways that you can do that, and I will try to make a dedicated video on troubleshooting. I will do that in a later. You can subscribe the channel also, but currently you can learn these basic things, and hope you are understanding about that. That's it for today's video. I hope I covered everything. If I left something, please comment below. I will try to make another video on that particular topics, and also subscribe and hit the bell icon so that I will be motivated and I will make another videos also.